Hey everybody. I'm probably going to have some fewer videos out in the next few weeks as we just got a new dog. And she's 2 years old. She's a bit rambunctious, very sweet, but demands a lot of attention, as little 2-year-old pups do. So, the next few videos I'll be doing will probably be fairly short, which may be a relief to many of you listening or watching. Anyway, this one is concerning large language models. I know I talk about this a fair bit, but this is kind of, something I've come up with here. First of all, large language models, or LLMs, are frequently described as being dumb in the sense that they lack, true understanding, reasoning, and consciousness, despite their impressive ability to generate human-like text. They function primarily as sophisticated pattern matching systems based on vast amounts of training data rather than possessing any sort of internal model of reality or the ability to plan and reason with any kind of guarantees. This is especially true of smaller models that are distilled or quantized to make them usable on laptops, reasonably powerful desktops, that kind of thing. They often have to be compressed effectively into smaller models. And it's kind of a bad analogy, as it's like making a copy of a copy. They tend to lose a bit of granularity as they get progressively smaller. So you end up with them being, kind of dumb, saying dumb things, making incorrect factual statements, that sort of thing. So one way you can sort of get a feel for any, LLM that you download is to come up with a little suite of tests on your own, just questions, that kind of thing, that you can present to whatever LLM you're testing and see how it does. It will give you some level of confidence that it's not, completely broken or messed up. So to that end, I came up with just a few questions that you can ask your LLM to see how well they do. And a kind of a scoring method, if you like. You don't have to do the scoring method, but it's just something kind of fun to try. These are based on some factual information and some logic type problems, including a little bit of math. So the test question, you can take a screenshot of this if you are all interested. But the test questions would be, who was the U.S. president immediately before Abraham Lincoln? And you can change this to be, who was the monarch of the U.K. before Elizabeth II or something like that. These are just suggestions. 2 would be, what is the only metal that is liquid at room temperature? 3 is, which country has the longest coastline in the world? 4 is more of a logical thing. All cats are mammals. All mammals have hearts. Can we conclude that all cats have hearts? And explain. And this one is kind of tricky. At first glance, the answer seems obvious, but it's actually not. So number 5 is, a bat and a ball costs $1.10 in total. The bat costs $1 more than the ball. How much does the ball cost? My instinct at first would be to say the ball costs 10 cents. That's not the answer. Well, I'll show you what the answer is and you'll see. 6 would be, if today is Wednesday, what day will it be 100 days from now? 7 would be, a plane crashes exactly on the border of the U.S. and Canada. Where do they bury the survivors? Again, another trick question. 8, you have 3 boxes, one labeled apples, one labeled oranges, and one labeled apples and oranges. All labels are wrong. That's the important part. You may pick one fruit from one box to know how to relabel them correctly. Which box do you pick from and why? Kind of interesting. So if the LLM answers all of these correctly, then it's reasonably good. So let's see what the answers are, just in case anybody had any doubt. The first one is James Buchanan. Second one is Mercury. Third one is Canada. All cats are mammals? Yes. And then you'll give some kind of reason as to why. The fifth one is the one that's kind of tricky. The bat and the ball costs $1.10 in total. The bat costs $1 more than the ball. How much does the ball cost? The ball is actually 5 cents. The bat is $1.05. So that makes the bat $1 more than the ball. It doesn't actually say that the bat costs $1. It says the bat costs $1 more than the ball. So it's a bit of a trick question. And the one about Wednesday, today would be Friday. Plane crashes exactly on the border. Where do they bury the survivors? Nowhere. The survivors aren't buried. That's obvious if you think about it, but, you know. The one about the apples, if you pick from the apples and oranges, since all the labels are wrong, this box contains only one type of fruit, and then you can reason out the other ones from that. That's kind of interesting. I tried this in a couple of the LLMs I have currently running, which are kind of newer ones, so it's not really a fair test. Some of the older ones I think would probably have failed some of these tests, some of the smaller ones. But just something to muck around with. So here's your key here. This is the answer key. Screenshot this, whatever, just for fun. Try it in whatever LLM you're using and see if how it works. All right. I told you these would be quick. Cheers. Bye-bye. So that's another video in the can. If you found this informative or interesting, please consider liking and subscribing down below. And remember, be excellent to each other.